Hi guys, welcome back to the gear shed. Got another gear review for you today. This one hot out of the posties' hands. We have a Naturehike Tagar 1. Now if you've been perusing the pages of AliExpress, you will see that Naturehike's brought out a couple of these new sort of lightweight tents. This one here, as I said, is Tagar 1. This is a single man. It's kind of a hybrid design. It's kind of single skin, kind of double skin. We'll have a look at that when we put it up. And they do this in two flavors. As I said, this is a single man one. They also do a two-man version. And what I can tell, it's a pretty close approximation to a tarp tent double rainbow. At least the two-man version is. This is obviously a bit smaller because of one man. So let's have a look at what we've got, and we'll throw it on the scales. So although I didn't order the mat, the ground sheet, footprint, whatever you want to call it, these guys threw one in, and I think I got this. Got to double check whether I got it straight from the Naturehike store, because I do obviously the Naturehike store on AliExpress. But yeah, they gave me a footprint. I don't really use footprints, so that's kind of a neither here nor there for me. It's basically just a standard PU fabric. It's obviously edged, and it's got some tie-outs on it. So let's pop that on the scales and have a look anyway. So I'm not sure whether you can see that. 156 grams, which is, throw that on the, for those metrically challenged, 5¼ ounces for that. So it's fairly lightweight. It's not super heavy footprint. But as I said, I don't use it, so we'll throw that away. So, next up, the whole tent. So this guy here is everything, poles, pegs, etc, etc. So let's pop that on the scales and have a look. Oh, so bearing in mind this is my atomically calibrated kitchen scale, so it's incredibly accurate. It's 1.19 kgs, okay, which is I can't quite see what that is, 2 pounds 10 ounces. All right, so it gives you an idea of that. So, yeah, so what we need to do is take this outside and put it up. As I said, that it's come hot out of the hands of the postie, so I haven't actually had a chance to even take it out of there and have a look. I did take the pegs and poles out though, so just to give you a quick update on those, just unfortunately just in metric. The poles themselves are 297 grams. Now this has got one like longitudinal pole, and then there's a little cross pole. And the pegs I weighed in the stuff sack. That also has, by the feel of it, I didn't open it, but by the feel of it, there's a repair kit there. So with the pegs and all that, it's 121 grams. So there we go. So yeah, bear with me. I'm going to take it outside, throw it up in the grass in the old backyard, and we can have a look at it. We'll go through it. I'll take my Neoair X-Lite large mat out and inflate it up and throw it in there to give us an idea on sizing, and we can always run the tape over it to see what it's like inside. Alright guys, so bear with me. We'll go and pop it outside and bring you back in a second. Welcome back, and here she is, all pitched. What we're going to do is we're going to have a quick walk around it, and I'll just have a little bit of a discussion about quality. We'll look at the fittings, the fit, finish, that kind of thing. And then we'll pile on inside and have a look for size and have my thoughts on it. There's already, with this up, I've got a couple of ideas I can think about to do some modding on it as well. Can't leave things alone, got to mod it. So, right, pitching wise, 4 pegs does the main part of the tent, and then you need a peg each side for the vestibule. So 6 pegs all up for minimal pitch. Alright, so it's not freestanding, you do need those up for it to stay up. Putting it up, pitch wise, was quite tight, but and bear in mind that a lot of tents are like that when they're new, so it's not a big concern. It's quite tight to pitch up. You think you're going to break everything when you put the poles together, but no, it doesn't. It does go up. So let's have a look. So pole wise, with my incredibly sophisticated veneer calipers that I got in my Christmas cracker, it says that it's 8.5mm poles. So not a super burly pole, but it's a 3-season tent, so we're not expecting snow loading gale force winds. All the hardware on it, if we look closely, it's all aluminium, these little end caps. That's really, I like that, it's actually really cool. So you're not going to have any problems with UVs destroying your plastic fittings. They're all alloy ones, so that's pretty cool. Only plastic one we got is this one in here, and this cross pole kind of centers over the top of that, stops it moving around. Those aluminium fittings also migrate down here to the bottom. So a nice little alloy fitting there with the pole, so that's pretty cool. We've got a couple of guy loops at either end just to stake out you come with guy ropes, so they're pretty very kind of rudimentary basic ones, the sort of ones you buy on AliExpress and YouTube and eBay with a little plastic guy rope slider, so they're not particularly flash really, so I probably put my own on for those, but that would give it a lot more stability in winds. And as I said, up here there's also on this cross pole either side there's a little loop that you could do the same thing to, so that'd give it quite a bit of stability. Once you peg that out, that actually probably make it quite strong. Interesting design that this has two vestibules but only one door. So on this side, the non-access side, it has a big vent. Air vent in here with a little plastic stiffener. You can see that there. Just to hold things out, so that's kind of cool. That's all pretty, basic rudimentary stuff. Nothing rocket scientist on that. We'll have a look once we get inside. We'll discuss this because it's kind of a bit weird, but doable, still useful. So fit and finish is pretty good. Stitching's all pretty. See if you can see that. All pretty straight, all pretty even. Apart from I've got one spot around here where they've had a little bit of a clusterfuck with their stitching, and that's all gone a bit south. But that's easy to chop off. It's not hasn't affected the integrity of the actual stitch. It's probably where they've run out of thread and carried on and didn't finish it off right. It's got on the only door that it's got a little waterproof zipper. Can't tell whether that's YKK because they've taken the pulls off and put these cords on. So again, that's to stop the cords jangling in the breeze. But I can't tell whether that's a YKK zip or not. It's a coil zip. It's not particularly burly, but it's probably at least a 5 or a 6. Number 5 or 6 zipper, so it's not super lightweight like the 3 FULs one I did the last review on. That was quite a light zip. That must have been like a number 3 zip at least. Alright, so let's take the old ugly Crocs off and pile on in here. So we have my Naturehike light large, like I said I promised I would, so it gives you an idea of sizing, bearing in mind that it's obviously a lot bigger than the standard Thermarest, so width-wise, a lot more. Right, so now we're in here. Let's turn around and you can get to see my ugly face. It's a fair bit of room. Remember in mind I'm about 6 foot, so there's enough room to move around in here. Certainly the tube compartment is quite spacious. I was surprised about that. There's quite a fair bit of room in here. Let's zip one of these vestibules up. Now just bear in mind with me, we're having unseasonal crazy weather here in the UK. We actually have a little bit of summer and it's quite warm. My camera on my phone was just having a hissy fit at me for being too hot and stopped working, so hopefully it's not going to do that. I've just turned my brightness down on my phone, so that should do the job. Right, so to give you an idea of size, the vestibules are not large. We're talking, there's a pair of my super ugly Crocs, so you've got bugger all. I would not advise cooking in this. It's not going to happen unless you're incredibly careful, but you probably gas yourself because there's not a huge amount of room here. So I wouldn't. I would unzip this and chuck my cooker out there. It's going to be a hell of a lot safer. So yeah, so bear that in mind. Not a huge amount of room in here. What's interesting though, if we go over the other side here, this is our other door. Well, it's not a door really, it's a vestibule. It has a little, like a dog hatch. You can unzip it here and stick your stuff out. So you've got the same on this side, but no way to access the outside world. So you can probably put your boots and your pack in here, so it kind of negates that side. So hopefully the idea is that you wouldn't be having all your pack and shit in here anyway, so that might make a difference. We'll see how we go. They've kind of maximised the inside room more than anything else. So that's kind of a bit weird, and that's the vent we can see from outside, so that vents directly into the inner of the tent. Now, talking about the inner, there isn't any. We have got, essentially, this part here that we can see is the fly of would be the fly of an ordinary tent. There's no mesh partition or anything like that. Then we have these mesh walls either side here. See that? So sort of certainly what it's basically like taking a standard ordinary tent, this part here, and then sort of gluing it onto the fly of another one. Oh, see in the bottom of me. So yeah, it's an interesting concept. I know Tarp Tent do something like this with the double rainbow, but the double rainbow is kind of a bit different than this. Its design's a bit different. Now for the other thing that we have is we have two big mesh vents. Essentially, the end of each of these ends here is mesh. So that's a mesh panel to the outside. Now, a slight design flaw that I do see here is that fly is pretty close to the ground, so you're getting next to bugger all airflow between underneath there, and it's pretty tight to the ground. They do have quite a high bathtub floor down here, so that's making a bit of a difference. But what I'm thinking of doing is, let's get this out of the way, this inner part, well, the end of this inner part, you can just see that bright yellow strap there. That's the strap that pulls it out towards the pole, so that obviously stops everything falling apart and the pole going flat on top. But I was thinking I can actually disconnect the fly part and connect this bit, the inner bit, to there, and then we can actually roll this end of the fly up. So if I do that at both ends, we'll have to look at that. So there's one at that end and one at this end. If we did it at either end in really hot conditions, we could roll that up or even peg that up out a little bit, so we have that air gap between the bottom, because there's not much, that's nearly flush to the ground. So you're getting next to no airflow in there. And because bearing in mind that this little vent on the side here is the only actual vent that's directly to the outside. There's not one on the side, and you can't zip the floor, can't zip the top of the zipper down. So there's next to no airflow in here, and I can tell you, sitting here at the moment, it's pretty warm. It's quite warm. It's not not getting any condensation build up anything in there yet, but it's not the coolest tent in the world. I'd probably definitely have to sleep with the door open for sure. But if we did it at either end, chances are we'd get some flow through ventilation a lot more, and so you can roll it up, and even if if you roll it by that much, you've still got protection from the water, any water splashing thing, but you'd get a lot more air flowing through. But yeah, I mean, we can see, let's lay back here and have a look at size wise, so you can give you an idea of feet, bearing in mind thermarest here is 3 inches, so it's pushes your feet quite high up. I would think it might be touching anything like there. Let's turn it around this way. Remember, 6 foot, so that's me the whole length of my bedroll. So there's still quite a bit of room here, a little pocket at back here. Yeah, so it's going to be quite interesting. I think the internal size is actually really good with this cross pole. If I stand up here again, you can see we've got a shed load of room above my head. Oh, I've got a bit of a breeze coming through now, that's a bit better. Plenty of room above my head, so that's all good. That makes a difference. Yeah, it's the main reason I'm looking at this guy here is for bikepacking, really. Obviously I'm not going to be taking my trekking poles anywhere, so I'm biking, so the idea is this is standalone, can do its whole thing without me having to take poles, so it's probably going to work quite well for that. So let's have a look at the fabric wise. Now, I think this is just PU coated. It is seam sealed, so let's even look at that. It's seam sealed between, quite cleverly there in the sections here, down here, all seam sealed across there. Yeah, so it's PU coated. It's quite a nice fabric actually. Got a little hook at the top here for hanging your doohickeys on. Insect mesh is very fine. I would probably say that's midge proof by the look of it. Pretty easily midge proof. Floor material is quite light actually. Might regret the whole not using a footprint, but again, what we come to expect really from Naturehike and the like, quite a light floor. I think with this is one of these things that is happening in the tent world. Obviously everything's lighter and lighter and lighter, and they offset the whole durability thing by giving you footprints. So in the real world, if you're using a lot and you're worried about the floor wearing out, you've got to add another. So essentially you're looking at this tent is really 1.2 kgs. It's actually a bit more than that, probably 1.25, because you need to have the footprint to protect the floor. So something to think about there. I mean, to me, I haven't ever really worn a floor out. The Cloud Up 2, Naturehike Cloud 2, which my mate Angus has now got, so I've passed that on to him. That has nearly the same size floor, and it's actually come out pretty good. We use a bit of Reflectix on underneath it just to protect it, so over there. But yeah, so there we go. So you wouldn't definitely get 2 people here in a pinch, but it's actually quite colossally large inside, I thought, by one of the other reviews I saw about this particular tent, that it was a bit of a coffin inside. It's not. Vestibule space is a bit more, it's a bit small. It wouldn't be cooking in here. That might subtract from its usefulness in time, but we'll see how we go. So let's hop outside and have a look at the outside of it again, have a bit of a recap, my major thoughts on it, yeah, and take it from there. So let's go have a look out here. So the slight strange part, I think, is having the single door. You think they would have hedged their bets and just did one big door, especially for a one-man tent, and just, you know, put a big event on one side and just call it quits. But hey, that's how they've gone down the road. I think it's more a pattern thing. When they were, if they made a two-man version, it's gonna get out of here, it's a bit small, not for old people. One other thing, you probably just about, it's hard to tell until I use it, but you're probably going to get a little bit, it's one of those tents again, get a bit of water into the inside when you open the door because of the angle of the door. It's not going to be excessive, but that's possibly something there to look at. So, there we go. Yeah, so what I reckon, if we come down here and have a look at this, I'll have a good look at it. It has this part here, which is the fly, to here, onto this little aluminium thing, holds the pole, but the actual inner part is sewn to the back of this. So I was thinking, if I made that a continuous piece, and then sewed a clip on, or something to here, between the fly, or you know, this fly section here, and this part of the pole, I can then roll this up. I can roll it up to here somewhere. I can have two big vents underneath to give me more airflow. Well, roughly, because this won't, probably this end here won't allow it to come up. So, but it would mean that I could probably, you know, give another couple of inches there. But what we'll do is we'll try it first and then go from there. Food for thought. But overall, cool little tent. Cool little tent. It's like a lot of these things that you probably don't quite know what the design brief for the designer was when he was doing what was going through his head, but yeah, it's come out pretty well. I'm liking it, it's pretty good. The proof is in the pudding though, we have to take it out and use it. Quickly, pegs. These are again, what we've been expecting from Naturehike. It's like a spirally aluminium peg, fairly light, fairly short. I wouldn't even think that's 165 mils. It's kind of like the standard length for these sort of cheap pegs. It's probably even smaller than that. So, we'll have a look at these guy ropes while we're here. Little guy ropes. That's that quite open weave guy rope material, and the little line locks. Probably ditch those. I've got some better quality ones with the reflective stuff woven in them. We'll just substitute those for there, and we'll make a couple up, I think, for these end pieces here. So, the only other thing we need to think about is how much condensation that's in here. Now, there's not a huge amount of reviews about this tent, practically wise, so out of somebody that's actually used it for a length of time. So, I'll try and take this out. I'm going out middle of next month for a bikepacking trip, so we're going to take it out and do some in the field with this one. And this time of year, it's getting possibly where we're going to get more condensation, because it's that sort of transition time in the UK where it's hot and muggy and it's going to be raining. So it might be a good time to test it out and see what happens. Again, this sort of thing, it's not something I would want to take multiple days. 3 or 4 days is probably max. If I was going for a long period of time and it's going to be lots of rain, I would take a different tent. I'd probably take me Hex Peak, because it's got more room when it's raining from there. So that'll be interesting to see how we are with the condensation wise. Alrighty, so only other thing before we go, the other thing is I'm actually sticking a lot more of my reviews and stuff now, because of the way YouTube is treating everybody. I mean, I don't make any money out of this, but it's beside the point. I'm going to vote with my feet. I've got a VidMe channel, so if you go to VidMe, it's the Gear Shed, and I'm going to be looking at mines and obviously Twitch and all the rest of it later on. But just to give you a heads up, I'll still post gear reviews on here, but I will back those up with other platforms to see how we go. So in the meantime, hit the like button, whack some comments in the comments department. I don't mind, again, measuring it, poking and prodding it, and giving my fair review. I'm a grumpy old man, so it is what it is. Alright, gentlemen, thank you very much, and see you later.